Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a visual journey that moves far, far beyond the famous dynasties and royal courts of the Indian subcontinent. We are going to uncover a 5,000-year-old, completely continuous creative heritage. Seriously, it's an incredible story of art that doesn't just sit behind velvet ropes in some quiet museum. Instead, it breathes, it evolves, and it lives right in the everyday lives of millions of people.
You know, when we usually study art history, we tend to focus on a really specific time, or maybe a period named after a place or a powerful dynasty. We look at all this grand art commissioned by wealthy patrons who ruled for a few hundred years. But it begs a pretty fascinating question, right? What about the common people? Were they not creative? Was there no art that existed around them in their day-to-day lives? Before artists ever traveled to royal courts, what exactly were they making? Okay, let's dive into this. Because there has always been a stark contrast between what we consider dynastic court art and living traditions. Court art, well, that relies on wealthy patrons, formal training, and it usually belongs to very specific historical periods. But living traditions? This is an art form that has always existed far away from urban life. It's crafted by unknown artists in the interior terrains of forests, deserts, mountains, and villages. We're talking about creators who have literally never been to an art school or a design institute, yet they maintain a timeless continuity that stretches back millennia.
So here's our roadmap for This Explainer. First, we'll look at the art of the people. Second, rituals, utility, and aesthetics. Third, Warli painting everyday life. Fourth, Pithoro, visualizing the cosmos. And finally, living art in modern times.
All right, let's jump into section 1, the art of the people. The people and their crafts are just so deeply intertwined. This isn't art that's made simply to be looked at. It's creativity born from pure necessity, instinct, and this innate, shared sense of aesthetics. It thrives far away from city centers, out in the rural and remote pockets of the country. These living traditions are woven directly into the survival, the surrounding environments, and the daily routines of these communities.
Moving right along to section 2, rituals, utility, and aesthetics.
It is absolutely fascinating to see this exact blend in practice. On one hand, you have the physical process of an artisan at work, shaping clay with their hands, a really fundamental act of utilitarian creation. But from those exact same roots, you get these massive, finished terracotta horses. By and large, these traditions carry a heavy religious or ritualistic overtone, packed with incredibly rich symbolism. They effortlessly bridge that gap from simple, day-to-day utilitarian practices at home to grand, decorative, and ritualistic production on a massive scale.
That brings us to section 3, Warli, painting everyday life.
Okay, before we explore an actual Warli canvas, you kind of need to know what you're looking for. A really crucial figure in their art is the Panch Surya Devata, or the five-headed god. Interestingly enough, he's visualized as a headless warrior. He is often depicted riding a horse, or sometimes standing with 5 shoots of corn springing straight out of his neck. He essentially symbolizes the Kshetrapal, the ultimate guardian of the fields.
Now, what's absolutely brilliant here is how an entire universe is captured on a single surface. These paintings, which are characterized by these striking, bright white figures set against a dark, earthy background, are traditionally painted right in the central or outer areas of the house. If you look closely at the details, you can see this bustling, vibrant narrative, hunting, farming, the flora and the fauna, all swirling together in a beautiful, rhythmic depiction of daily life, nature, and those guardian spirits we just mentioned.
Let's break down some of the specific elements you'll typically find. Often, there's a central motif called Polagat, and it's enclosed in a small square frame decorated with pointed chevrons along the outer edges. Those chevrons actually symbolize Hariali Deva, the god of plants. Surrounding all of this are everyday acts: farming, fishing, dancing, and mythological stories where the tiger is conspicuously visible. But honestly, here is the most fascinating part. Because this is a living tradition, you'll also see modern intrusions. You might literally spot scenes of buses driving by, or the busy urban life of Mumbai, simply because that is what the people of Warli see around them today. The art evolves right alongside them.
Section 4, Pithoro, visualizing the cosmos. Heading over to the Rathfa Bills of Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh, we find these incredible wall paintings created to mark special or Thanksgiving occasions. They literally map out the Rathfa cosmography, which is their visual understanding of the universe, and it's highly structured. The upper section represents the heavens, gods, heavenly bodies, mythical creatures. Then, there's an ornate wavy line acting as a physical boundary separating heaven and earth. Finally, the lower region represents the earth itself, featuring domestic animals, farmers, kings, and the grand wedding procession of Pithoro.
When you see how this structured map translates visually, it's just magnificent. The sheer scale and those vibrant rows of brilliantly colored horse rider deities. If you visually trace across the middle, you can clearly see that ornate wavy line we just talked about. Above it, the heavenly riders and celestial bodies. Below it, you see the earthly realm, the cattle, the farming, the kings, and that vibrant procession. It's like a giant, beautiful map of the cosmos painted directly onto a house wall.
And finally, Section 5, Living Art in Modern Times. The amazing thing is, these traditions didn't just survive the modern era, they adapted brilliantly. In the 19th and 20th centuries, modern artists, both in India and the West, began looking at these traditional forms as profound sources of inspiration. Post-independence, there was this massive revival of the handicraft industry. It became organized for commercial production. As states and union territories formed, these art forms gained unique, formal identities, and they were proudly showcased in state emporia all across India. They became a deeply celebrated, tangible heritage.
So the absolutely crucial point we're taking away from this chapter is this. Art isn't just something from the past locked away in a glass case. It's breathing, it's evolving, and it is deeply, inextricably tied to human utility and community. The unknown artisans across India's villages are the modern caretakers of a 5,000-year-old creative legacy. So I want to leave you with this thought to chew on. Look around your own home today. Which objects are just things, and which actually carry the weight, the stories, and the continuous living traditions of the people who made them? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep looking closely at the art around you.